We will transition to the field of real estate, a discussion of which will be led by Stephen Kassin. Steve graduated from Stern's undergraduate business program in 2007 and is the founder and managing partner of Infinity Group, where he oversees Infinity's real estate portfolio of over 60 properties across 10 states. Notably, Steve was named 50 under 40 in Globe Street's Real Estate Forum publication. Steve also serves as an advisory board member for Stern Center for Real Estate Finance Research, as well as the chair of the Entrepreneurship Committee for Stern's Alumni Council. Let us welcome Steve to the stage.
Thank you. Just give me 1 second, everyone. Now that that's out of the way. So thanks for having me here today. It's always great to be back at Stern. I love this place. I actually started our business here at Stern between my junior and senior years in the summer of 2005. So this Stern is near and dear to me, and it feels like yesterday I was sitting in these seats. And the only tidbit of unsolicited personal advice I'll give each of you today before I jump in is to really cherish and take advantage of every single day, every single course, all of the extracurricular opportunities here at Stern, the culture and community, because before you know it, you'll be an old guy like me. You'll wonder what happened and how it all went so quickly, and so just enjoy it and make the most of it, because you're all very lucky to be here. So let's talk about business, the real estate business. So what is real estate? Real estate is property, brick and mortar, tangible asset class. It can be a farm, it can be a home, an office property, a hotel, or even an energy field. More academically, more specifically speaking, real estate can be categorized into 4 property types, starting with hospitality, which includes hotels, restaurants, entertainment venues, and even places like Disney World, theme parks. Commercial property generally includes office and retail properties, shopping centers, mixed-use buildings like we have all around here in New York City. Residential can be broken down into 4 of 5 categories, like single-family homes that most Americans live in, and multifamily properties that include condos, co-ops, and rental communities. Industrial properties, something Infinity does not play in, can include manufacturing facilities, storage facilities, logistics properties, and even energy refineries, for example. Let's talk a little bit about the real estate game and the players that play in the game. Beginning with capital markets. Capital markets is the largest subsector of real estate. It's a global industry. It includes lenders and investors worldwide. Beginning with lenders, bankers, mortgage REITs, funds. These are the people and institutions that invest debt into real estate projects to allow for scale and volume. Investors, which can be sovereign funds, private institutional investors, family offices, or even individuals, make up the remainder of the capital markets sector of real estate. Capital markets is a very natural place to start your career in real estate because there's the most abundance of job opportunities for undergraduates coming out of a place like Stern. Major banks and lending institutions provide for analyst positions, associate positions coming right out of undergrad, and provide a great training platform for a professional that wants to learn about the business, get exposure to deal flow, and ultimately figure out what they want to do next. Once you mature, generally, on the lending side, opportunities on the investor side open up. These tend to be reserved for a little bit more experienced professionals, just because investing is part science, part art, and so institutional investment platforms and family offices tend to gravitate toward more experienced, more mature professionals to engage in their investment activities. Users, let's touch on this really quickly because each and every one of us here today is a user of real estate. NYU Stern as a school, as an entity, is also a user of real estate. Government, retail stores, office tenants, we're all users of the real estate around us. Government plays a major role in our business. Government plays contributes 2 primary factors to our industry. First and foremost, regulation. So tax incentives, development incentives, zoning regulation, tax regulation, all of these factors governed by government at the local and national level affect the business every single day. The second major impact that government has on our industry is infrastructure investment. So government is always the first user. It provides utilities like water and sewer, transportation, mass transportation. If these things were not in place and if confidence in government was not present, no private development would happen. Let me actually go back to government for a moment because I think government is also an eventual career path for anybody interested in real estate, but also interested in politics and civics. Generally speaking, other than entry-level positions at a very local government organization like the Department of Buildings, matriculation into government, real estate-related government roles would generally happen after postgraduate education or after some time in the private sector or in a professional role so that you develop an expertise and then can apply that expertise to public policy. Development, the game that we play here at Infinity, what I spend my life doing each and every day. Development is really we're the pioneers that build the property that we all occupy and enjoy. Development is the most local aspect of real estate. It's almost impossible to do on a global level if you're really at the asset level, if you're at the bricks and sticks level. Development takes the most risk because you have the guts and vision to imagine something that doesn't exist and to speculate with your time, money, and resources that there will be an end user at the proper price. Development can be pursued as a career path in a few different ways. We spoke about capital markets. We're going to talk about brokerage as well. Those are two natural entrees into the development business. You can also pursue entry-level development career opportunities at small development shops and at large development shops. At a large development shop, you would generally have a more limited role, a more trainee-oriented role where you'll build knowledge, experience, and context for future promotion or movement within the industry. And at a smaller shop, you'll probably have a more impactful role, a more diverse role, but there can be limiting factors on your career growth based on the limiting factors associated with that smaller business. Brokerage. Brokerage is another kind of gigantic subsector of real estate. It's broken down into three primary sectors within brokerage. You have investment sales brokerage, leasing brokerage, and capital markets brokerage. Capital markets brokerage is also known as debt and equity brokerage. If you're interested in what properties are worth, how investors evaluate the value of properties, what properties in different geographic locations trade for, and if you want to be the interface between buyers and sellers, then sales or investment brokerage is for you. If you're more interested in what retailers would pay for a store in a particular location, or what a renter would pay in the situation of an apartment or an office tenant or a business that needs office space, pursuing office space, then you would pursue leasing brokerage. And finally, capital markets brokerage puts you at the nexus between lenders and borrowers, between investors and developer/operators. Finally, construction. Construction in this context will capture really the entire set of players that contribute to the building process. So the building process is generally broken down into pre-development, development, and then delivery and occupancy. In pre-development, you have design and entitlement, so architects, engineers, land use attorneys. The construction process involves engineers, general contractors, and specialty contractors. And finally, the completion process there's involvement in with also expediters, property managers, leasing people. So construction really runs the gamut. There's ways to enter the construction industry, by swinging a hammer during high school summers, and then there's some people that pursue master's degrees in project management. Others go on to law and focus in land use, and then even others go on to architecture and engineering, and they pursue specialty practices that contribute to the construction process. Let's talk a little bit more about the development and investment sector of real estate, because that's where I spend my career, and that's what I'd like to highlight this morning. So let's start with the greatest myth about real estate, the flip, the quick buck, the do nothing and make money model. So it's really not a model, it's not a strategy, it's gambling. Most real estate projects, practically all real estate projects that succeed and that you and I touch, feel, and know about in our everyday lives have a substantial value-add business plan associated with them. These projects take years, some of which take decades. A great example of a long-term project that took over 40 years to reach its current state, which is not yet even at full completion and capacity, is Newport, New Jersey. So you're looking at a historic photo of Newport and a more modern photo of Newport today, here on the bottom right. Newport was swampland on the Hudson River purchased by the late Sam Lifrak over 40 years ago. When Sam purchased this property, it was contaminated wetlands. He spent millions of dollars purchasing the property, many, many millions more decontaminating the property and pursuing the entitlements and permits and licenses to build what he envisioned, which was a full-fledged, self-sustained, 24-hour neighborhood/city. There's retail, office space, and a living space in Newport to the tune of thousands of apartments and millions of square feet. Today, decades later, his grandchildren have the privilege and opportunity to be building on his vision, and this asset is now worth over $10 billion when considered as a holistic portfolio. Another example of a decade-long project that unfortunately didn't work out as well economically, but also provides view into the long-term vision, endurance, and risk management associated with real estate is Riverside Plaza up in Harlem. So some of us shop here. This is on the, right up on the East River in Harlem. It's a great project from a public use standpoint. It's been extremely well received and has great high traffic, high sales volume associated with it. Unfortunately, the developer Blumenfeld pursued this project for way longer than expected and ran into expenses way greater, complications way greater than they had expected as well. This project took over a decade to deliver and had a $150 million budget associated with it. Upon delivery, it's noted that they spent over $500 million to get to the finish line. And most people believe that this project was unfortunately underwater and would have never even been completed without significant investment by our local government through tax credits. So a lot of work, a lot of effort, and dynamic markets and unforeseen issues don't always result in an awesome outcome. We're going to talk a little bit more about risk management and bring it a little bit closer to home with one of Infinity's projects. So this is the Hilton Fashion District on 26th Street. We purchased 3 properties adjacent to one another in 2007, really at the tail end of a boom cycle. We ultimately pursued the mixed-use development of a $90 million project, which included 280 hotel rooms and 2 entertainment/retail venues. We started the project in 2007. We had Prudential as our lender, Citi Property Investors, which is Citigroup's private equity group, as our partner, and the world began to unravel. We built this 22-story building during the worst financial crisis in all of our lives. And I contemplated my life personally countless times throughout this process. We pivoted, we endured, we worked endlessly to manage risk, to make the project extra special, to get more for our money, to capitalize on the soft market in terms of construction costs and quality for cost, et cetera. And ultimately, the project was a great success. The market started to thaw and recover in 2010. We sold it in an unsolicited offer to a public company, a now public company, at really the high comp for hotel rooms at the time. And looking back, I learned a lot of great lessons about risk and reward, about what to do and what not to do in large-scale development. But one that sticks out is a lesson on leverage, a lesson on debt. What is debt? What is leverage as it relates to real estate? Debt is what allows large-scale real estate development to happen, large-scale real estate investment and improvement to happen on a global scale. It is one of the largest sectors of finance. It is of absolute necessity if you want to build a project in any competitive market, because it allows for a relatively reasonable amount of equity capital to result in a very, very large scalable project. And it also makes rates of return acceptable in today's day and age to the investors in these projects. Leverage can also be the greatest contributor of failure in real estate. What leverage does is it provides 2, 3, 4, 5 times the amount of debt on each individual project versus the equity invested in that project. So if you don't carefully manage the type of debt, the type of leverage, the amount of leverage, and who is providing you the leverage, your lender, because lender stability is another factor, then leverage can eat up your profit very, very quickly, much quicker than most people anticipate. And leverage can ultimately take away your asset and provide liabilities that are way greater than your equity investment. Let's talk about the upside of real estate as an industry. Why do I love what I do, and why do I think it's a great path for somebody that is interested in real estate and feels they have the characteristics to pursue real estate? So the best part of real estate are really listed, the best parts of real estate or aspects of real estate are listed on the screen. Real estate provides for great scale from an investment standpoint. You could take a relatively nominal amount of money, you could combine it with your time, your capabilities, your resources, and you can achieve great things. People like me, fairly early in my career, were doing projects 50, 70, $100 million in size. People more mature in their career with larger platforms are doing projects in the hundreds of millions or billions. None of us would claim to have this capital personally to go out and do these things. So with great scale comes high stakes and big returns. You can apply yourself and create a relatively large amount of value using your time, your talents, your capabilities, and your money and some investor money. So it's a great industry from that standpoint. And the number one contributor to that aspect is the fact that you end up with something that is tangible, and you end up with one of the rarest products in the world, because it's a product that, unlike most products, if well located and well built, gets more valuable, more scarce, and more precious with time. To take that to the next level, you can even create an iconic product. So Disney World is a great example of entertainment real estate, created by the great visionary Walt Disney. Till today, it's an iconic, world-renowned, branded property that actually sustains, in some people's views, the economy of Florida. There are other examples of iconic hotels, office buildings, retail properties that have the same impact on neighborhoods, cities, and society at large. The downside of real estate is very, very related to its upside. So with great scale, with high stakes, with big potential for return, there's the equivalent chance to have great losses and have great volatility to the downside. So why do I highlight this if it seems so obvious? Because I spend most of my time worried about the downside. I spend most of my time managing unforeseen issues, managing changing market conditions, because in the end of the day, great vision inputs the upside potential in a project, but we spend each and every day from the day we start executing that vision focusing on how to manage the project to ensure that we get to the finish line. Hence the guy with the stomach ache. You could have a bunch of these over a period of time. So how to get in, just to recap. There's many opportunities to get into the capital markets, development, and brokerage part of the business right here from Stern with an undergraduate degree. There are great opportunities for summer internships, for ongoing internships during your time here at Stern. And then after college, there are great opportunities right out of college for entry-level positions in all of these subfields of real estate. Government, law and accounting, and the builders, architects, but really more the architect, engineering, and legal side of construction require additional education, So, postgraduate degrees, specialty degrees, etc. But real estate is a very approachable business, and it's a great place to spend your career. So why real estate? So just to recap, if you're a creative person that loves to work with people and teams, which is what I do all day long, doesn't mind problem solving constantly, and has endless determination, you could create something that has permanence. And most of all, real estate's awesome because it's literally all around us. Thank you, everyone.